The Boeing 777X is facing a challenge that could change its future forever. In this video, we uncover how Boeing's most advanced twin jet, built with folding wingtips and powered by the world's largest commercial engines, was meant to dominate the skies as the ultimate replacement for the iconic 777. With early commitments from airlines like Emirates, Lufthansa, and Qatar Airways, the 777X promised record-breaking range and passenger comfort. Yet years of production delays, strict certification hurdles, and unexpected competition from Airbus's A350 have cast doubt on its future. Once seen as Boeing's crown jewel, the 777X now finds itself at a crossroads. Will it deliver on its bold promises or become the company's next major setback? Stay tuned to find out. To understand why the Boeing 777X is facing its biggest challenge yet, we have to rewind to the early 2010s when the long-haul aviation market was undergoing a transformation. At that time, Boeing's original 777, nicknamed the 777, was the undisputed king of international travel. Since its first flight in 1994, the aircraft had developed a reputation for reliability, long range, and favorable economics, becoming a workhorse for airlines that needed to move large numbers of passengers across oceans efficiently. By the late 2000s, it had established itself as Boeing's best-selling widebody of all time, serving as the backbone for carriers like Emirates, British Airways, and United. But in the background, a storm was brewing. Airbus had launched its A350 program in 2006, offering airlines a new jet made largely from lightweight composite materials and powered by next-generation engines. The A350 promised significant fuel savings, a more comfortable passenger experience, and advanced aerodynamics that would reshape expectations for long-haul travel. Suddenly, Boeing's highly successful 777-300ER, once considered state-of-the-art, looked outdated in comparison. For airlines staring down rising fuel costs and stricter environmental pressures, efficiency was everything. Major Boeing customers, particularly in the Middle East, began demanding a response. Emirates, which had built much of its global hub strategy around the 777, wanted a larger, more efficient replacement that could carry even more people on long-haul routes. Qatar Airways and Etihad shared similar concerns. Boeing found itself at a crossroads, either evolve the 777 or risk losing dominance in a market it had helped define. In November 2013, at the Dubai Air Show, Boeing revealed its answer, the 777X program. The company announced two versions, the 777-8, designed for ultra-long-haul missions, and the 777-9, a stretched variant measuring nearly 77 meters, making it the longest commercial aircraft ever built. The most eye-catching was its carbon fiber composite wing with folding wingtips, allowing the massive wingspan to fit into existing airport gates, while still delivering superior aerodynamic performance in flight. Powering the aircraft would be the General Electric GE9X, the largest and most advanced turbofan engine in history, engineered to deliver both immense thrust and remarkable fuel efficiency. The response was immediate and overwhelming. On launch day alone, Boeing secured a record-shattering 259 orders valued at $95 billion at list prices. Emirates led the charge with a jaw-dropping 150-unit commitment, while Lufthansa, Qatar Airways, and Etihad quickly joined the roster. No wide-body aircraft program in history had enjoyed such a powerful debut. For a moment, it seemed as though Boeing had guaranteed its dominance for another generation. But beneath all the excitement, trouble was already brewing. The 777X symbolized Boeing's ambition to stay ahead of Airbus and reaffirm Seattle's status as the epicenter of wide-body innovation. Yet, as history would soon show, securing orders was the easy part. Building, certifying, and delivering the world's largest twin jet in an era of shifting airline strategies and global uncertainty would prove far more complicated. Liking the story so far? Keep watching, because next we'll dive into the billion-dollar development costs, the repeated delays, and the moment when the 777X's dreams started to unravel. For a while, the 777X looked like a revolution in motion. Its cabin promised larger windows, wider seats, and quieter engines. Airlines talked about reduced fuel burn of up to 12% compared to the 777-300ER. aviation fans marveled at the folding wingtips, a design straight out of science fiction that allowed the 72-meter wingspan to fit into standard airport gates. When the first prototype rolled out in 2019, the excitement was electric. Boeing executives hailed it as the next leap in long-haul flying. Aviation headlines called it the Queen Slayer, a jet poised to dominate the skies well into the 2040s. Emirates envisioned it replacing their aging A380s, Lufthansa saw it as the future of transatlantic travel, and Qatar Airways expected it to be the flagship of their expansion. For a moment, Boeing looked like it had outmaneuvered Airbus and redefined the future of wide-body jets. But beneath the hype, cracks were already beginning to show. The 777X was built for a market that was shifting faster than Boeing expected. Certification delays, design hurdles, and a global downturn in demand would soon test not only the aircraft, but Boeing's ability to deliver on its promises. Boeing entered the 2020s already on shaky ground, but production challenges turned those cracks into major fault lines. The company's recovery from the 737 MAX crisis was supposed to be about rebuilding trust and meeting demand. Instead, it became a fight just to keep the assembly lines moving. The most pressing issue was the 737 MAX program, Boeing's workhorse and financial backbone. After 2 fatal crashes exposed serious design flaws, regulators took a hard look at Boeing's production practices. The spotlight only intensified in January 2024, when a door plug blew out mid-flight on an Alaska Airlines 737 MAX 9. No one was killed, but the incident shook public confidence and triggered yet another round of inspections. The Federal Aviation Administration imposed strict oversight and capped MAX production at 34 aircraft per month, well below Boeing's goal of over 50. That cap meant the company couldn't meaningfully reduce its backlog of more than 4,000 MAX jets on order. For airlines waiting on deliveries to expand their networks, this was a serious frustration. And that was even just the beginning. And the problems weren't confined to the MAX. The 787 Dreamliner, Boeing's flagship long-haul twin jet, ran into its own wave of quality control setbacks. In 2021, Boeing halted deliveries for over a year because of tiny gaps in fuselage joints that failed to meet specifications. By the time production restarted in 2022, more than 100 completed Dreamliners were sitting in storage, waiting for fixes. Even after deliveries resumed, new stoppages occurred as inspections uncovered further issues. For a plane marketed as the Dreamliner, the constant halts felt more like a nightmare for Boeing's customers. These repeated slowdowns carried real consequences. Airlines built their fleet strategies years in advance, and when Boeing couldn't deliver on time, they were forced to adjust schedules, lease older jets longer, or even turn to Airbus for alternatives. Every missed deadline weakened Boeing's image as a reliable partner. The FAA's oversight also meant Boeing had less freedom to quickly ramp up output when it wanted to. Unlike in previous decades, when Boeing might have been able to fix problems internally and move forward, the agency now had inspectors embedded on the factory floor, reviewing every step of the process. This level of scrutiny slowed decisions and forced Boeing into a more cautious, deliberate pace. Financially, the stakes couldn't have been higher. Boeing executives repeatedly admitted that cash flow depended directly on stable production rates. Without more planes rolling out of factories, the company couldn't bring in the revenue it needed to pay down debt from the MAX crisis and pandemic losses. Instead of momentum building for its future 777X flagship, Boeing was bogged down by the grind of keeping its existing programs afloat. By 2025, there were signs of modest improvement, output was slowly stabilizing, and airlines reported some progress in quality. But the scars of years of production missteps remained deep. Before Boeing could even think about introducing its next-generation jet, it had to prove it could consistently build the ones it already had. Once Boeing managed to wrestle its production lines into relative stability, it faced a far tougher test: getting the 777X certified. The jet's entry into service was originally targeted for 2020, but that timeline shattered due to a cascade of technical setbacks, regulator scrutiny, and unforeseen crises. Early on, the GE9X engine itself caused delays. In late testing, engineers discovered issues with a high-pressure compressor stator requiring redesign. That pushed engine certification into the fall, derailing Boeing's first flight plans. But for an aircraft of this complexity, an engine setback was only the start. Multiple uncommanded reported pitch anomalies during flight testing added layers of concern about the flight control software integrity. Yet the moment that grounded the program entirely came in August 2024, when inspections revealed cracks in the engine thrust links, components that join the massive GE9X engines to the wing structure. All 4 test aircraft were grounded immediately. It wasn't until January 2025 that Boeing resumed certification flights, beginning with a functional check flight for the lead test aircraft. That was a critical turning point, but not yet good news. By then, the certification target had shifted. CEO Kelly Ortberg noted that Boeing was aiming to obtain type certification towards the end of this year or early 2026, with delivery beginning in 2026. In mid-2025, aviation analysts noted that the program was finally gathering momentum again. For instance, all thrust link fixes had been implemented across the fleet, and the test schedule was being ramped up, setting the stage for certification and entry into service in 2026. Despite this progress, Boeing's customers are forging ahead cautiously. At IATA's summit, Emirates, still the largest 777X orderer with 205 aircraft, forecast delivery stretching from late 2026 into early 2027, showing lingering uncertainty. Meanwhile, Lufthansa is poised to become the first airline to take delivery of the 777X in 2026, marking a symbolic launchmaster role after years of delays. In the eyes of regulators, the shadows of the 737MAX tragedy still loom large. The FAA has taken a far more conservative posture. Every flight control system, emergency scenario, and resilience test must now pass with full confidence. In essence, Boeing 777X isn't just waiting for a green light, it's enduring a certification process sculpted by caution, consequence, and high-stakes accountability. Until those final approvals come through, the jet's future remains uncertain. But is this all that plagues this innovative aircraft? There is only one way to find out. Tighten your seatbelts. It is about to get even better. While Boeing tangled with production and certification chaos, Airbus quietly surged ahead. Its A350, in service since 2015, quickly established a reputation for reliability, fuel efficiency, and timely delivery, precisely the pedigree airlines needed during Boeing's upheaval. By mid-2025, Airbus had amassed 1,428 firm A350 orders across its family, including 354 A350-1000 models and 669 delivered aircraft, a number far ahead of Boeing's unfulfilled 777X backlog. This immense order and delivery volume gave Airbus unmatched market presence. Meanwhile, Boeing's 777X sales, although once strong with 551 gross orders across variants, began to shrink. In early 2025, the company reclassified 38 previously firm 777X orders as uncertain, reducing confidence in the program and signaling that some airlines might lose patience. Airlines responded accordingly. China Airlines, for example, diversified its long-haul fleet with both Boeing and Airbus jets, ordering 10 Boeing 777-9s, 4 777-8 freighters, and 10 A350-1000s, valued at $11.8 billion. This hedged their bets, reflecting uncertainty about Boeing's timeline. And this is where things get really interesting, because when airlines start hedging like this, it's a red flag that trust is slipping. The momentum at Airbus was evident at the 2025 Paris Air Show. In a major coup, Airbus secured deals worth nearly $10 billion, including a marquee order from Riyadh Air, 25 A350-1000s, with options for 25 more. Public attention centered on Airbus's confident sales runway. Their product availability and back-to-back successes stood in stark contrast to Boeing's scaling concerns. That's right, while Boeing was still ironing out problems, Airbus was racking up billions in fresh business live on the world stage. Airlines slated to operate both jets began publicly shifting strategy. Some moved forward with A350 deliveries for their immediate needs, while 777X reservations remained tentative. At the IATA summit, even Emirates pushed its 777X deliveries to late 2026 into early 2027, while Lufthansa, despite being set to receive the first unit, remained cautious. By 2025, Airbus not only outpaced Boeing in deliveries, leading by nearly 100 aircraft in the first half of the year, but also showcased a product airline customers could rely on. And here's the jaw-dropper. While Boeing was losing ground, Airbus was winning outright. In essence, Boeing's delays transformed the 777X from a potential game changer to a risk airline customers were less willing to wait for. Airbus's steady execution and aggressive order wins meant that by the time the 777X would actually fly, its intended market might have moved on. The single biggest challenge for Boeing wasn't technical, it was reputational. After the two tragic 737 MAX crashes in Indonesia and Ethiopia, killing 346 people in total, Boeing's image as the gold standard of aviation safety collapsed. Investigations revealed flawed software design, inadequate pilot training, and internal warnings ignored. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, once seen as close to Boeing, came under fire for its certification practices, prompting regulators worldwide to tighten scrutiny. From that moment, every Boeing program carried the baggage of mistrust, and the 777X, Boeing's most ambitious aircraft, became the ultimate test case. If it could be certified cleanly and prove itself safe, Boeing might start repairing its image. If not, the jet risked symbolizing everything that had gone wrong. By 2024 and 2025, the damage was clear. Emirates President Tim Clark repeatedly voiced frustration over the repeated delays and openly questioned Boeing's credibility in delivering on promises. Lufthansa, the program's launch airline, remained supportive but cautious, knowing that being the first customer meant bearing reputational risk if further flaws appeared. And for the flying public, headlines of cracked engine parts, certification delays, and FAA investigations only deepened skepticism. This wasn't just about one jet, it was about Boeing's entire standing in global aviation. Airbus, with its steady A350 deliveries and few scandals, looked like the safe bet. Boeing, once the company airlines trusted above all else, was now fighting to prove it could still be counted on. And here's the jaw-dropper moment. Even Wall Street analysts began calling the 777X a make-or-break product for Boeing's survival in the wide-body market. The crisis of trust turned what should have been a story of technical triumph into one of corporate redemption. Every successful flight test is now more than just a step towards certification. It's a chance to win back regulators, airlines, and the public. And that's where the drama hits its peak, because the question hanging over Boeing isn't just whether the 777X will fly. It's whether it can carry the company's reputation back into the skies. For Boeing, the 777X was meant to be a bold comeback, the jet that restored confidence and proved the company could still outclass Airbus. Instead, it became a program caught in turbulence. Delays stacked up, regulators slowed progress, and airlines grew cautious. What was designed as a crown jewel looked more like a liability. Boeing still insists the aircraft will redefine long-haul flying, but its reputation has already been tested. The 777X isn't just an airplane anymore, it's a gamble, and the stakes for Boeing could not be higher. Some planes soar into history. Others, like the 777X, become a turning point, a reminder of how quickly an industry leader can stumble. That's why we share these stories. Not only about wings and engines, but about ambition, risk, and the companies that shape how we fly. If you want more deep dives into the jets that defined aviation, hit subscribe and join our journey. We'll uncover the successes, the failures, and the forgotten experiments. And if there's a story you want told, leave it in the comments. We read everyone. Who knows? Your idea might be next.